Now we get to enjoy this place, mate, and this is wild. Like, if you go all the way back when we were maybe hoping a few thousand people, you know, never anything like this.
I mean, who would imagine? And this is so great. I mean, the history of Swedish Counter-Strike, where it all began, until this fantastic arena. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah,
it's something special. When we're sat in here, right, and it's like completely empty, you stand in the middle, you really see how big it is.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to be here in the center to realize how big this arena is.
Yeah.
And like, can you imagine that it's sold out in just like 1 week or something like that? It's amazing.
All the cheers that are going to be coming out through the hallway and stuff is going to be wild. But like, I don't know, for me, right, I always hoped it would get so big, but I never expected us to get to where we are now, let alone to a point where like, not just the prize money, but also the fans, the interactions, you know, like, I was just happy with it being competition, you know, and having something to go for.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, look at us now, filling an arena in the center of Stockholm, from pretty much being in small internet cafes all over the world. I mean, it's amazing how far we came.
What do you reckon, though? You could have another go at this? Would you like being in this kind of environment to compete? Or do you think it'd be a bit too much for you?
Well, when I stand here, I get flashbacks from the early days of my career, and definitely this is something I really wanted to be able to like play in. Yeah. I mean, I played in some arenas, but nothing ever like this. This is amazing.
So Swedish Counter-Strike has kind of come, I guess, full circle in a way, right? But from your days, where we're talking about early 2001, forming NIP, finding this success, and now comparing to, you got to see like the players having their media day and things like that. How big a difference is it of what you had to deal with and what they have now?
Oh my God! I mean, players nowadays are so spoiled now, but I mean, it's fantastic that it's come to this. I mean, I remember when we went to tournaments, there wasn't any practice computers at all. So some of the tournaments we haven't played for a week or so, like, because it was media days back then also, but it was no practice time in between. And when we flew somewhere, it could be like, 8-9 days sometimes before we even get to touch a computer again. So imagine though having to perform at that level when you haven't played for so many days. I mean, obviously you're rusty and have a rough start, but I mean, it's amazing how we come to this far. I mean, filling arenas, you have the practice areas, their own like space and everything taken care of. It's fantastic, it's great.
On the other aspect as well, right, now the players don't have to pay for their flights, don't even have to book their flights. They've got support staff from the organizations, from PGL, for example. Yeah,
I mean, big credit to the tournament organizers nowadays. I mean, we had to pay our tickets ourselves, basically, in the beginning, even have hard time founding it. Sometimes you won a qualifier where you paid for the tickets, but it was hard to get the fees out and so on. And I mean, a lot of things have changed the past years for the better.
And for you, right, we were talking about this yesterday, you guys are like one of the first teams with actual like jerseys and stuff. It was the iconic one with the small NIP original logo.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people forget that, but I mean, NIP was actually the first team in the world to have jerseys when we went to the tournament in 2001, which was like the first official World Championship that Valve actually like approved that this is a World Championship. And I think we were basically the only team there that had team jerseys. So you could say that we're the first team.
Styling from the start as well. But when it comes to actually looking at now what's happened with Swedish Counter-Strike, because you guys are on top for so long, right? From 1.6, you even had some success in Source, then you come into Go at the very beginning, just look at NIP again, rising up, dominating from start to finish. Now we're in a weird spot where it's kind of rebuilding, right? You got these young teams coming up. Obviously, Ninja Pyjamas now have their young Ninjas team to try and bring some of these players through. But do you think like that Sweden can rebuild in this way? Do you think you've got enough potential?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all about the trends. I mean, we were really spoiled. We had some really good teams and we had great competition. I mean, the reason why we stayed at top for so long is that the competition in Sweden was like really insane. You could have like a top 10 team in Sweden and they could probably place top 3 in the world in the end of the year, basically. And that's how hard the competition were in Sweden back then. So competition always drives you to perform better, right? And I think that we were kind of spoiled because of, instead of new organizations starting in Sweden, like I started NIP and a lot of other great like smaller organizations started out. I think the trend somewhere changed where you wanted to get picked up by an organization or something like that, and you felt like, okay, it's all or nothing. I want to be in NIP or one of the big organizations or nothing. So I think that created a kind of bad trend in Sweden. That's why we saw Sweden kind of drop off the map, and other people, especially Scandinavian people, were catching up. I mean, look at Denmark.
Oh, yes.
Hats off to them, what they've been doing for the past years. I mean, some great players, some great organizations, and I think that a lot of the whole world can look at how they've been building their scene for the past years, because they're a real small country just as Sweden, and they have like some great history in the past few years now. But finally we see some light in Sweden again. I mean, obviously this helps out, but we see a lot of new young both talents and teams are blooming up again finally. I mean, I think that kind of the part that NIP has had some great success now again is that they actually work better with younger talents now, and like an infrastructure on how to bring them and onboard them, and I think it worked great. I mean, you can see the results basically from now, that it really pays off to work with grassroots and everything like that, and work with the whole community, and I think that's what's been missing for a lot of years in Sweden, but now finally getting back to it.
And what are you working on now, right? Because you're still involved in kind of helping the grassroots side, right? Which is really important for what we want to see here in Sweden. Yeah,
I mean, my goal about 5 years ago was to really help finding a new great ecosystem within esports, because I mean, a lot of great things are doing at the top, like the top organizations. We have these fantastic majors and everything like that, but there's so little work that's been doing with the grassroots, and I think the grassroots is the key of even making esports even greater than it is today. It needs to find a better structure and everything like that, and an ecosystem, and I think it's so important. So that's why I've been working the past 5 years in helping like youth education. We started our local esports league, and I think, not to be cocky, but the reason why we see Swedish esports blooming again is thanks to our local league that we're running here in Sweden.
Nice. Well, the future's certainly bright for Swedish Counter-Strike. It all started in Sweden for Counter-Strike. I'm having the most successful team to be in the best team in the world at multiple times, but now it's time for the real fun to begin at the major. Swedish champions, you think the actual NIP's got a chance?
I mean, it would be a Cinderella story, of course, but not even I dare to hope so. But let's see how it plans out.
Let's see.